Mic check one, mic check two. My name is Camren Jones, and today I'll be interviewing Paris Linson. Today is April 14th, 2025. Thank you so much for taking the time out with me today. I'm doing a research project on the tornado that hit in 2008, March 14th in Atlanta, and its impact. And I'd love to hear about your experience. Can you tell me a bit about your background?
It was a lot of firsts for me that year. I was a first-time mom. I was working my first job as a massage therapist at one of the most popular spas in Metro Atlanta. Yeah.
Where did you live during this time?
Well, I was living a couple miles away from downtown Atlanta, about 2 blocks from the King Center, and walking distance to the Transit King Memorial train station.
Did you know it was a tornado warning that day, or was it just a surprise?
Well, it was so long ago, I can't remember if there was. But like I said, it was so uncommon for something to take place in the city to where even if it was a tornado warning, I have to say, like, that would have been something that I probably would have dismissed, that it happened in rural areas.
According to my research, technology for natural disasters were not as advanced as they are now. So you hearing a warning or even a sign was not very likely.
Yeah. So I wasn't home at the time, so I couldn't tell you whether or not sirens were actually sounded, actually set off. And do I even remember my cousin family even saying it, said, remember hearing the sound of a train. But it just ties back into, planning for your family for this day and time. If you do hear those sirens, what to do, how to react, how to respond.
Where were you when the tornado hit on March 14th in 2008?
Well, fortunately for me and my daughter, we were visiting my mom at the time. We wanted to go and let her see the baby. My daughter is still a newborn. I wanted her to see the baby and just wanted to spend some time with my mom.
What do you remember from that night of the tornado?
Man, I didn't know why, but at the time the fog was so dense, I could barely see beyond 2 feet ahead of the car. I remember being a little scared and driving so cautiously and just in prayer, just hoping that we will make it to my mom's house without an accident, even with the high beams on. I mean, it was intense. I also remember the phone call from my partner at the time. He wasn't home at the time, but by the time he got there, he was in a frantic, that had come off the house. We had family living there, a cousin and her daughter. The tragedy of her was, it was frightening that it took her into a temporary shock, and she had lost her vision for a moment.
What did the tornado do to your home?
Well, the tornado, it destroyed almost every furniture, clothes, anything that was covered. It took the entire roof of our apartment building. We were on the first floor, so, we the worst of it. But then it even destroyed some important buildings, the CNN Center, damaged some of the property of the Centennial Park, Georgia Dome, other people's homes, vehicles. A lot of people were severely injured, and maybe like 2 or people were critically injured, but I don't recall whether or not someone actually died that year.
I actually read where a person passed due to a collapsing of a building. How did the tornado affect your family or community?
Again, like I said, not our home was damaged. Other people's apartment homes in the community were damaged, destroyed, totaled. Important buildings downtown Atlanta was damaged. The center, the Georgia, yeah, the Centennial Olympic Park was kind of, yeah.
How did the community or government help throughout this tragedy?
Well, thank God. It was a natural disaster. It was declared a natural disaster. So FEMA came through and, oh man, saved the day. They set up for people who didn't have anywhere to go, provided food and water. We all gathered and they took, information that we lost. And then maybe weeks later, there's financial support for people to restore some of the things that were lost. And also, again, providing us money so that we could also relocate.
How did the tornado change the way you think about natural disasters?
Man, well, not just natural disasters, but it definitely made me realize, one, never think that it can't happen to you. I remember no one, since we have never, I don't think we ever had it, or it had probably been years, but I don't recall a tornado ever coming through the city of Atlanta. So most of us didn't think that it was even possible. We're so accustomed to hearing that it happens in rural areas. So one, never think that it can't happen to you. And then also make sure you and your family have some type of plan of action when something like that occur. Whether it's a fire, have an escape plan. Whether if it's a tornado or earthquake, have a designated place you and your family to go to for shelter. Measures, of course, to prevent damages and casualties. And also, in your family, what's important, the things that are important to grab yourself. Be so focused on material things.
Is there anything else you think is important for people to understand?
Is exactly what is tie into the last question. Again, make sure you and your family have a plan of action when an emergency like that occur. Fortunately, me and daughter, we weren't during the time, but when that sound of a freight train, because that's how most people explain a tornado. When you hear it, your kids, your family to know what to do, where to run to, where to seek shelter, what's important to grab, so that you could just prevent the chance of your family of being injured or, prevent.
Thank you for sharing again for your experiences with me. I really appreciated it. Your perspective is super helpful. If I have any follow-up questions later on, would it be okay for me to reach out?
Absolutely.
Well, great. Thank you. I really appreciated your time and insights today.
Thank you.
The recording is now ending.